live, buddy. We're live. Damien, I believe we're live and you're muted.
Oh, we're live. We're also playing the thing here. All right. Sorry for the delay. Let's get this show started.
Welcome to the Dastardly Dingoes podcast, a show that celebrates all things nerdy. You'll get an insider's look into the world of comic books, graphic novels, TV and film, gaming and pop culture, as well as the technologies that drive all of it. Now, are you ready to get nerdy?
Yay, everybody. This is the Dastardly Dingo podcast. I'm Damien. And we're slowly getting things together. I'm Damien.
Oh, I'm Chad.
Lovely lady in the corner. Who is this?
I'm Lauren.
And you, sir. You are our guest.
And
What's your name?
I'm JD Calderon. How you doing, everybody?
Oh, we're about to get nerdy, people. Daddy's not in the studio today. He is doing his own thing. So it's been a bit of an issue getting things started, but we are here now. We are ready to go. So before we do anything else, we'll get a little housework done. I want to thank everyone at the Rising Tide Network and their host of shows. You can see right here who will be tantalizing your eyes and when. Take a screenshot now, folks, or miss out on all the visual splendor your human mind can take. And we're done. All right. So,
Damien.
It's been fun.
Hey, Damien.
Yes, sir.
You still have a echo, or
I
something,
do
something's-
because Lauren's in the background.
Oh, how dare
He's about
you.
4 feet away. So
It's Brian's
I'm going to
fault.
eat my mic a little bit. Everything's Brian's
Oh, that's
fault.
good. Right there. That's good. Just talking to the mic just like that. Seriously.
All right, everybody.
Yeah. No echo. It's 100% fair.
Tonight,
It is actually sounds really good.
I'm going to eat my mic. Here we go. We're going to do
It
this.
just looks like
So, like, as you can see, Brian's not here. So
Thankfully.
we thought that in place of his witty banter, we would have a special thing we're going to start doing on the show.
Hi, guys. Now, here's the thing. For all of you that follow me on Facebook, I know you've seen my little bits of wisdom that I've shared with everyone, my little insights from posting, and I'd like to share a little insight about Brian Rodman. He and I have this kind of very deep rivalry, but I would like to just extend some grace to him and just talk about how awesome he is, just to show how much of a better person I am than he is. But really, I wanted to highlight the fact that this Friday, he has a new Kickstarter coming out for the Nebulizer #2, and I would highly suggest that you go check it out. And so I just wanted to take a moment, if you're not one of the 98 people that were tagged on Facebook, to see that this is coming out. You eventually will be tagged. And so you will see very soon some comic book greatness with the Nebulizer 2 starting Friday on Kickstarter.
All right. We're not here to talk about him anymore. We're here to talk about the man in the bottom right-hand corner who keeps getting muted. Where'd he go?
Disappears.
No, the moment. No. The moment. Well, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up, and hopefully he will come back.
There we go.
The man of the hour, or 40 minutes or so we've got left, is JD Calderon. He and his magnificent, well made and well-funded campaign for the Oswald Chronicles. This is the highest recommendation of any book I've ever read. Oh, he's back. But to his face. It's legitimately one of those books that I think everyone should read because it's got a little something for everybody. I myself am not a huge fantasy person, and I love this book. So we've got everything pulled up here, JD. If you'd like to take it away and tell the people why they should spend their money on you.
What? I gotta talk about it?
Yeah, you gotta talk
Nobody
about it.
told me about this.
What?
Damn it.
Oh, this campaign?
Because
Oh,
David's
yeah.
in charge.
All right. So we have 16 hours. So you want to go out and get it now. Right? So that's all we have left. No, but the crux of the story revolves around Oswald. He's a mouse. He's the heir apparent sorcerer supreme of his galaxy, universe, whatever. So the through line of the story is, what if the greatest sorcerer of your time, of our time, was born in the body of a mouse, or reborn in the body of a mouse? And that's Oswald. And he's trying to find his way through this world where he has both humans and he has fae and his all these different factions of fantasy-like creatures living in it. But he lives in the middle of Manhattan. He's on 54th Street, right on Park Avenue there, right in the middle center of Manhattan. And he goes through all these crazy adventures. One of them is this one, where Dauphin, a traveling warrior gnome, has been traveling basically since World War II, just tracking down this evil. And he finds himself wounded, badly beaten, and he finds himself on Oswald's home, and Oswald helps him out. And then, the rest of the story continues. I don't want to give away too much, but there's giant spiders, demon goblins, fairies, all sorts of stuff. And it's just a crazy milieu of things. I just like to, let it all go when I write these things. So. But I think it's a lot of fun. So Damien, please ask me a dozen questions because that's it. That's all I got.
Who do you feel like is the breakout character of this the story?
In this one, it would be Dauphin, because actually Dauphin plays a significant role in Oswald's life, because he reappears in a number of stories. And what's cool is that we actually met the stretch goal at 4,000. So I had written a novel based on his character Dauphin, and it's called An Imperfect Mantle. And Oswald's not in it, but that's okay. It's Dauphin, and he's travels down into the south, and he encounters a sorcerer there. And the sorcerer had awakened a sleeping fallen angel that he had found. And what had happened was, as well known, Lucifer was cast out. All the angels went down with him. They became demons. This was one fallen angel that had gotten stuck on Earth. For some reason, it hit Earth and never went through. But the problem with that angel is that it kind of drove him mad. So he's stuck between turning into a demon and still being an angel. So he's kind of like bipolar. There'll be moments he'll be really nice and sweet and kind like an angel, and then there'll be moments he turns into the demon. And then so then Dauphin is dealing with that. Is like how do you fight something quite this powerful? So yeah. So that's the novel. And then if you scroll back down again.
Excuse me. Tell me when to stop.
Keep going. All right, this image right here with Oswald. Yeah, this is going to be a metal trading card. So this was the first. This was the very first stretch goal. So that's going to be turned into a metal trading card. And
I want that on my wall.
That's I ran across.
Really nice.
Thank you. This particular piece was illustrated by Jade Gonzalez, the series regular artist. But one of the things I had a problem with is finding a good color artist, and I finally found one in this gentleman named Slamet. I know I'm brutalizing the gentleman's name, but he's an incredible color artist. So I was just very happy to hook up with him. So
you can tell it's gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just the array is great.
Yeah.
How did you find your artists?
DeviantArt. I find everybody on DeviantArt. Yeah, I've been on there forever, and I'm constantly looking. And I have, I'm under the Oswald Chronicles, and basically my gallery is just everybody I want to work with. It's, it's like I've reached out to certain artists, and I'll be like, hey, can you do a commission for me? Do a cover or whatever? And I've gotten people say, listen, I don't take commissions or whatever. I say, oh, okay, and I take them off my list. I unfollow them. I remove everything because I'm like, at that point, I'm like, I'm sorry, you're just eating up space for somebody else.
I'm going to jot that down after the show because that sounds like a good way to go. Because everything that I've seen of the Oswald Chronicles is legit, like across the board. The art is solid, colors are solid, even black and white. Even when it's been in black and white, it's been great. So I feel like great's such an under explanatory word for how good it is.
Well, like I said, I really appreciate that. Thank you. But I mean, it takes time. You got to find people. I always tell people that if you can't afford, because there's usually two issues. One, you can't find someone. The other one is you can't afford someone, right? So, those are usually the big things, right? So you got to try to find somebody that you like and that you can afford. Now, and then affording it can be different for different people, right? So maybe the person wants, usually it'll be between anywhere from, a good artist will be anywhere from between $50 and $150 a page. It'll range somewhere that deep, right? So depending where they live in the world, because if they live in Europe, they're gonna be a little bit more expensive. If they live in South America or in some of the Asian, somewhere out, out in the Asian countries, it might be a little bit more within reason, right, for us, because I wasn't born rich, unfortunately. I don't know about you guys.
No,
right? So, I tell everybody, if you can set aside, I'm working a regular job. If you can set aside 50, 60, 70, $500 a week, you can set up with an artist and say, hey, listen, I can do 1 page a week, right? And some artists will appreciate that because it's steady work for them, right? Without dominating their all of their time. Because then they can go ahead and take other commissions and do other things, do higher profile stuff, take on more expensive commissions, but they'll always have this one job that's always consistent for them, and some of them enjoy it.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone do that, honestly. That's a really great idea.
And look, 52 weeks, you have 2 24-page comics, right? And 2 covers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right?
It's you make it sound so simple, but and it sounds, it is in theory, but I think so many people think it has to be a slog. And it seems like that, and it can be an occasion, I guess. But
right,
the way that I see you doing it, it just seems like fun as well as work.
Yeah, I try to keep it. What is that? A KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid, right? And that's what I try to do for myself. I keep it simple for myself. So that's how I do it. Because I have to burn enough brain power and everything else. Why do it on working with the artist? You got to keep it. The key rules: pay on time, right, and be polite, right? Because I get artists, they're late, and I don't jump down their throats. I'm just, all right, cool. I'm checking in. How you doing? How the page is doing? Looking forward to seeing it. Right? Those are the key words. Don't be like, "Where's my stuff?" Blah blah blah. Start cursing at them and all this stuff because you're just never gonna get anything out of them.
Yeah, people tend to freeze up when you yell at them.
Yeah,
I've been on both ends, so I totally understand.
Right. And here's the thing: if you're in a rush, you've already screwed up. Right? Right? Because that means you've already launched a campaign, you financed, your campaign was financed or whatever, or you're relying on that money to do a campaign and get in, which tells me you already messed up. You have to come at it from the position of, okay, I'm going to take my time, I'm going to do this right, and just, move forward, incrementally until you get it done. My advice is always get the book done first, because I know there are a lot of people, they're like, oh, they're going to get the money, or they'll finance a few pages, maybe a couple covers, and then they'll get the money from the campaign, and then they'll say, okay, on the back end. But then, if something goes wrong, you could be sitting there for a year and not fulfilling.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's less incentive to finish it because you already have your money up front. I'm not saying that's like an awesome motive, but it's a reality. You don't have that push, to get it done because you're already paid, so you'll just get it out whenever you want. But whereas I agree with you, if you have the book done up front, there's no issues. You raise the money on the campaign, you can immediately send everything out, and everyone's happy. So
yeah, I have these, right? These are my samples for my printer that I got months ago. Right. As a matter of fact, if you look at these colors, these are not the same colors that are on that are going to be on the actual books. These are, I had these done. These were okay. I just happened to find a better color artist, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to have the colors recolored, and I did, and I think these came out really nice. Oh, it was just the email. Oh.
No, you're there.
So,
yeah, that's what you do. So those are the colors you're talking about right there, right?
Yeah.
One of them.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah, the other one is the alternative cover. But yeah, I mean, you can see the difference, between that cover and that. This is nice, but that's on a different level.
Absolutely.
I can't put you ended up there, so we're just gonna go with this.
Right. So yeah,
more incentive to go to the Kickstarter right here to check this out. What he's talking about.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, like I said, these look good, but the other ones just look better.
Yep.
And I mean, sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to go out there and you have to really, really look for, the best artists you can find. Damien, where are you? Come on, I want to see your face. I don't like talking. I'm looking at myself. It's terrible.
How's it feel, JD? How's it feel? I
Damien.
know a lot. I'm sorry.
Maybe you should go to the comments.
Yeah, actually, that's not a bad idea. We're gonna check in with you people.
Just a thought.
It's Carl Witzman, always in the house. Him and Uncle Carl and Aunt Donna are there. She waited too long. There's this guy. I don't know why he's here. He needs to just go home. I don't know what he's doing.
If he's going to be here, he needs to be on the show.
Get to work,
Brian. Come on.
Carl said this. I'm sure you're here. You were in here before me, Donna. I'm sorry. I feel bad. There's no cat. We can't open the door and have the cats in here, as you can hear the echoes already starting. We got Eric.
Has it gotten any better?
Has who gotten better?
Has the echo gotten any better?
If he talks close to the mic,
I think that might make it a little better. And that's not a comment because you're in the other room and can smack me. Yeah. So we've got
like right now, what you're doing. Seriously, Damien, right now, you sound crystal clear.
Okay. Good.
No echo. Yeah.
So we got Ted in the house. Who else we got here? We got another
Ted.
Couple of people. We got Mr. Brian K. Morris.
What's up? Nice.
The
Eric Hawkins.
Other Kickstarter sensation, Eric Hawkins.
Thank you, Eric.
You should be back to this book, and you all should too. And this is my first time reading comments, so you gotta bear with me on my speed.
I am no way in charge, Brian.
She won't take that.
I don't take responsibility for any of this.
She doesn't claim me right now. So I did have we had a couple questions we were gonna ask you. My question is, since I've been on your show quite a bit, who's your favorite person to be on your show and why?
Daphne Lage, my wife.
Good answer.
The only other answer that
see that just took the pressure away from everyone else.
Awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
Everybody was waiting with bated breath. Now we're all.
Yes. The second one though is Neil Gaiman, and the other one's Alan Moore and Frank Miller. In no order.
Yeah.
But I haven't had any of them yet. But I'm waiting. They've yet to respond.
There you
go. Oh, actually off me then. Oh. All right. Lauren, Chad?
Yeah, I've got a question. So, what is your dream goal for the Oswald Chronicles? Well, if there was no ceiling on success, what would you love to see happen with this book?
Man. Well, after I buy Disney, just to replace Mickey Mouse. No, I'm not joking. Wow. Ultimately for myself, the thing that I most crave is to complete it. right? That's my big thing, is to finish it. I recently finished writing the last story with him in it. And I mean, hold on, let me pull this out. All right. All right.
Wow.
Nice.
It's,
And another.
it's all of that. That's the
Amazing.
last. That's the last of it.
Amazing.
These are all handwritten. These are all handwritten. Coming
Wow.
back and forth from work on the subway
Man,
here in
that's
New York
awesome.
City. You know.
Nice.
That's amazing.
And this is I don't know, the last 7 stories, and I have another 8 that I already transcribed from a system like this. So it's a little nuts. But yeah, that's the thing for me, is like right now I'm working with 2 artists. I'm working with Jade Gonzalez and I'm working with Aurelio Tillis on 2 separate stories. So they're each doing a separate story, and that's fantastic. But I'm getting to a point where I'm like, if I'm ever going to get this thing done, is I have to start working with 3 artists. I need to start working with 4 artists, and the Kickstarters, I put them out frequently. I like this one. This one's going to tie up in the next few hours. I figure I will wrap it all up, meaning have it printed and shipped within the next 30 days. And then once that happens, I'm launching again. So and then
Amazing.
and then that one I'm experimenting with. 18-day campaign. I'm gonna start on a Thursday, end on a Monday, and just see what happens. So
Awesome.
we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, it's a thing of like, it's, I hate saying it. It's like I try to get in as much revenue as I can, because revenue is fuel. Money is fuel, right? And it's fuel, that I feed to the artists, because I have a day job. I'm playing hooky today. But I did have a doctor's appointment, so so I took care of that earlier. So but what? No, I did
A little bit legitimate. I get you.
No, it was. I get paid. It's okay.
It's all that matters.
But yeah, it's just trying to get even more artists working on it, so that I can just complete the story. Because one of those books, like Jade Gonzalez, I'll give her one story, and it'll be 140 pages later. And that's one story that's going to take her 2 years to complete it. So, and I've been working with her 12 years, and I'm like, it's a lot of work. I want to have the entire series printed and published by the time I'm like 60, and I'll be 54 in November.
Nice. Not. Don't
Yeah.
lie.
No. Yeah, I was born in 68.
Dude, I would not have called that
Mm-mm.
at all. Like I think I'm 46. I look 46. Like look it. I admit it. I'm fine with that. But I'd have put you like at least my age, maybe a year or 2 older at best.
Yeah, no. Good genes, brother. Good genes. Well, actually, to be honest, it's a lot of water and moisturize.
There you go. Good advice.
I already have a problem with moisturizer.
You need some moisturizer.
I do. I really do. Lauren, do you have a question?
Yeah, but I wasn't finished. But ultimately, yeah, it's finishing the series and getting them all printed in beautiful omnibus hardcovers. That's my ultimate goal. An animated series would be nice, but that's like that's the bonus. That's not even like my main thing. It's to get it in nice big fat omnibuses, and sell about 1 million of them. That'd be.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Cool.
So with that stack that you had of all the writing, what is that equivalent in books? Like, how many books would it take for you to finish the series? Or was each one of those a book?
Well, some of them are like at least 2 of them is one story. and I think
Oh,
there
wow.
might be 2 of those in there, and then all the rest I think are singles. Wow, I don't know, because all right, I'm 1,600 pages in at the point I'm at now. I have about 1,600 pages worth of material already done. To complete that will probably take another 1,600, maybe 2,000 pages.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's and here's the thing. I tell everybody is like, please don't do the way I did it. Don't do don't follow my example. It leads. It's a road to literal madness. It's like, unless you're truly dedicated. Like I don't have any children, right? So this is it. These are my children, right? So unless you can really dedicate yourself to it, because I'm telling you, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of fun. It's very fulfilling. But it can be heartbreaking. When you do a Kickstarter, you're like, you need X, and we all have our goals in Kickstarter, right? We'll put down 1,500, 2,000, whatever. But that's never the real goal, right? The real goal is like 5, 6, 7, as much as you can make always. But it's always double or triple whatever you're asking for, right? So when you just squeak over the number you put down, you're like, right? You're like, damn it, more overtime at work for me. So you can pay the artist, right? So sometimes that's what it is. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Sometimes, you just got to do it. But yeah.
Nice.
Any other questions?
I mean, I have questions, but I wanted to see if Lauren had any questions.
I have a question. Damien tried to veto some of my questions because he said you'd been asked before, but I really don't care because I would like to know.
Okay.
I'm not in charge.
So you kind of just like gave us, I guess, a sneak preview of what your process is as far as writing. So do you kind of like have everything in your head, like books and books down the road, and you know where it's going, or is it just kind of a let the characters take you where they go? And obviously you write it out, you handwrite it out first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Now,
so just kind of what's your process?
Okay. So initially, when I first started the series, I just went wherever I went with it. Now, I work very strangely, especially when I'm working on something that I don't know where I'm going, right? So like the very first Oswald story was just Oswald just being a narrator of a story, right? He was involved in it. And then as the more stories I wrote with him in it, he became the central figure, right? He moved into that role. Then once that happened, I stopped and I was like, how did this happen? Why is this happening? Where is this going? Right?
Yeah.
So then I had to write this. I wrote a story called My First Day. And that's his very first story. It's like his origin story. Right? And then I said, okay, I'm going to start working from here and I'm going to work my way out. And he has 3 lives. So he has his first life, which is on Park Avenue in the mall. He has his second life, which he lives in Dream. And then he has his third life, which is basically his resurrection. Right? So his first life, I'm completed. It's written. I'm still doing. There's still 2 or 3 more stories that have to be illustrated from it. But once that's done, that's done. Then there's his second life where he lived it in Dream. Basically, what happens is this story's coming up. It's actually already illustrated by Jay Gonzalez. This is a future campaign that's going to happen 6 months from now, maybe. It's issues. It's going to be awesome. But it's called I Was There and I Remember. And that's where something happens and he has to go into Dream to help somebody out. And he goes into Dream. He takes the potion and he falls asleep. And he goes into Dream and he's there. He's in there for 2 weeks. And in that period of 2 weeks, he lives an entire lifetime, by 80 years of life. And that's where when he stepped into Dream, he was maybe a 19, like the mentality of a 19 or 20-year-old kid. And when he steps out, he's like 80, 90 years old, married, kids, grandkids, was the emperor of a nation for all of that, and then for most of it, and battling and at war for the entire time, just about. And he was at war because his friends were trying to get him out of Dream. So they constantly put together armies to attack this nation that he was with. They were fighting to get him out, but there were powers who were like, no, he has to stay, because what they wanted to do is they wanted to trap him in there, and they wanted his physical body to die. So then that way he would become less of a threat to them. And then then there's his third life, which is the thing I just finished, where he's resurrected, and this whole even more, it gets even crazier from there. So yeah. But so I handwrite first, then I type it out, right? I transcribe it, and I consider that like an editing process. So I write it out by hand, and I start typing it in. I'm editing as I go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving lines, I'm fixing lines. I've already made notations. Like as I'm writing, I'm making notations saying, look, don't forget to drop this in this early portion. Don't forget to, and sometimes I post-it notes, and I'll do all that stuff. So then I know I'm basically filling in gaps, and I'm putting in the cues to what's going to happen in the future. The baseball bat on the mantle, that sort of thing. So I'm setting up all that stuff, right? And then once I'm done typing it out, I print it. I typically sit it on the side for like 3 to 4 months. Then I'll come back to it, and I'll do a really hard edit on it. I break out that red pen and I go crazy on it.
Gotcha.
That's it. And what it is I'll edit with a red pen. Then I'll let it sit for another 2 weeks, and I'll come back with a green one, and I'll edit again over the red pen. And I'll and then I'll go in and I'll type in whatever needs to be typed in, and I'll fix it. And then it goes to my proofreader. Then he gets his whack at telling me how stupid I am because I don't know how to spell. Or I don't know where a comma belongs. So,
See, that's the part I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy the editing, like self-editing. That's why I'm not a writer. I can come with a plot all day, but I cannot write for that very reason.
I've said, you've heard me say it, Damon. I think the art is in the edit. The art. Like I can sit down. Anybody, I could. You could sit down and write a shitty. Excuse my language. A crappy script, right? You can sit down and write a crappy script, but you can edit it to something that's reasonably good, right? And that's not the term polishing a turd, because that's not what that is. Because you can cut out all of the stuff that's bad and start putting in stuff that's good, and you can fix it and keep fixing it and keep fixing it. It's like having a junker of a car. If you know what you're doing, you can go in there, you can fix that car, you can make it look showroom perfect. You just got to keep working at it. It just takes time. So
do you write? You mentioned that you write to and from work on the subway. So is that like an everyday thing? That's your time for writing, or do you set aside like other?
It depends. Like I finished Oswald probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I promised somebody else a script, but I had promised them the script in December, so I was like, all right. Because I'd started one story, and I was like, it's spiraling out into some monstrosity that's going to be like, just too. It was too epic. It was the scope was just becoming too big. And I was like, no. I got to set this to the side. I just finished one of these. I was like, so let me pare it down, do something different, and that's what I did. I came up with a concept, the title, 2 new characters, and it's much smaller, much more condensed. So I say, they came at me probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. They were like, where's my script? I was like, shit. So I was like, so every day on the train to work, from work, and then I had to get home, talk to Daphne for about 30, 40 minutes, while I'm chewing on my food. I'm like, all right, I gotta go. And I would just start writing. So, yeah, and that's this one. That's this. I'm in the process of transcribing it. So that's literally this story that I'm working on. So yeah, it'll probably take me another week to get it all into the computer. And once that's done, that'll be another project. And that's the one interesting thing about finishing Oswald is that now I actually have time to work on other things. And it's a little weird not writing Oswald. That was perhaps a weird disconnect for me because I'm so accustomed to being in that headspace. I'm like, oh, this is completely different. Like there's a lot of cussing in this. There's a lot of swearing, a lot of naked women, monsters, things blowing up, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think I told, I think I've said this before. It's like, if I write Oswald for a period, there comes a period where I have to stop and write something very, very grimy, Get it out of my system. So,
Gotcha.
Kind of normalize.
Yeah. Well, thank you for answering. I found it very interesting. I hope everyone else did.
Thank you.
Even if they've heard it before.
I rescind my veto on that question because that was a really good question, and I should have known that it would have been good. Like I said, there we go. Like Ted said, JD's been doing this for years. He is a pro. So, well, speaking on that, as an outsider, you do make it look easy, and I understand, it's constant work. Do you ever, and you may have mentioned this on your show, and I think maybe you've even asked this before, but do you ever just sit back and go, at any point go, oh, okay, I like where I'm at. Now I'm going to move forward. Like, do you ever take a pause really to just kind of enjoy what you've accomplished up to this point?
No.
I was going to say it doesn't sound like
it. It's hard, man. It's hard because all right. Right now, I'm working on the Oswald Chronicles. I'm working on this new story that I'm working on, and then I'm working on something called Dreamweavers, which is a title that I had first produced out in '92. So I'm getting some of those pages colored, and I'm remastered it. I relettered the whole thing. So yeah, and I want to bring it back. I want to finish it. Only 3 issues of it came out, so I'm going to remaster it, put it out in color. Let's see what happens. I want to finish. I want to get those last 3 issues done, which will probably be more like 6 more issues because there's a segment in there that written in prose, and I don't want to keep it in prose anymore. So I want to actually do it as a comic book. It's going to take a little bit longer, but yeah, no, there's no time to smell the roses. The only time I do that is when I go to Disney World. That's it. When I go on vacation, I was like, okay, every single time I bring a book, I bring one of those books with me to write in it. There's no time for that, So it's the one true time where I can relax. You go away and say, okay, now I can do that, but it's fun. So
I do that too. Like if we go on vacation, I'll take a sketch pad and a pencil, and I might sketch once or twice, right. And then I'm done. I'm like, we're on vacation. I can't focus on that. But then I'll get home and I'll sit here for like 3 days, just like working on stuff. I've got that energy back. Yeah,
and especially, like I said, we go to Disney World, or hopefully my next trip will be we're going to Disney World in September, but hopefully after that we'll go back to Paris. But Daphne and I are walkers, so we'll walk for 12 hours. For 12 miles, I should say, 10, 12 miles a day. And we'll just keep walking and just doing all this stuff. And by the time you get back to the hotel room, you don't want to, I want to eat something and like pass out. It's just like, okay, I've done enough. The brain is off. And that's it. So.
Well, let's touch in with the, I was going to say let's touch base, but really nobody's really said much else except for Ted. So what time we got?
Chad said he had another question.
Yeah, sorry, I had to mute myself. We got some background noise here and that kind of thing. But I don't know why, Damon, you wanted to veto all those questions from Lauren, because those were basically all my questions. I was going to ask him about his process. I was going to ask him about if he was working on any other stuff. I was going to
I
ask him.
was trying to think of things that maybe he hadn't been asked before, like what color socks does he wear?
Yeah, but you got to think that
briefs. I don't know. Like
there might be someone that's watching this doesn't know who he is. So you got to cover a lot of the basics. You know,
I'm a horrible
that way
person.
we're looking at growing his audience. So we want to invite some new people in. You know, so but yeah, I think that. The question I have left, since all the other ones were taken, is who are your influences for like creators and that kind of thing, and what kind of things have you learned from other writers?
Okay, cool. My first influence was Frank Miller, huge. The first comic book that I ever read that inspired me to write comics. That I said that if I ever wrote, like if I was ever to write, I want to write at this level, and that was Daredevil 163, the first appearance of Elektra. And
nice.
I picked that up because I'm old. I picked it up off the rack, and I paid for it. They were like 75 cents, 50 cents. I don't even remember what it was, but I paid for it. And it just put that impression in my mind. Now I haven't gotten to that level just yet, but I'm trying. And that's always the thing. You always try to get to those levels.
What was it about that book that was so influential for you?
There was just something about the way it was done. There was just something about the way the story was told. I just knew there was something special going on here. I was 10, 9, so I didn't know exactly what that special thing was, but I knew there was something special. I don't know. Yeah. Like I said, I couldn't quantify it at that time. I probably can't even quantify it now. I'd have to go back and reread it because what's funny is I have read it, but it's been a couple years. Yeah. But I'd have to go back and really check it out to see what maybe I was thinking. But I knew this was special and this was what I wanted to do. The next thing that I read that really inspired a feeling like that for me was Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, and it was one very particular issue. It was the issue where Swamp Thing is like literally like peeling off like roots or like it looked like a yam off of his body, and people start eating it, and they start getting these psychedelic visions, right? And that for me was just like, to like my 12-year-old self is like, the side of my head blew out, and I was like, the fact that he could do this, and these people had all these different reactions, and they would travel through the earth and all this craziness, and it was just fantastic. And then, again, it was more Alan Moore for me with Miracle Man, where it was perhaps, I don't know if you ever read those early issues of Miracle Man that he'd written, and where he's fighting this kid Miracle Man, and they basically destroy London. I mean, and it was the sort of thing where it's like, you read comics for so long, right? These superhero adventures, you don't ever see the consequence of those actions, right? So in this book, you got to see the consequences. You got to see they're mutilated and dead bodies all over the place, and it was just like, oh, that would happen. Right? Because you're no longer stuck in Spider-Man verse where he's getting smacked around and he throws a truck and nobody really gets hurt, right? Mm-hmm. Those stories are fun. Don't get me wrong, I love those stories. But there comes a point where it's just like at that early age encountering that. And then the next set of things would be prose, because I write prose and I started reading prose very early. So for me, it's Herbert, Zelazny, Lovecraft, Ellison, Lieber. Who am I missing? I'm missing a few people. Well, there's also Barker.
Good list, yeah.
And I mean, Heinlein, Asimov. But there's, I read a lot of these guys when I was a kid, and I read voraciously. I was reading at least 1 to 2 books or novels a week, and I would just get them and I would just, consume. So yeah. Oh, and Moorcock. Moorcock is another one. Michael Moorcock, yes.
So when you sit down to write, like how do you? I know we kind of asked about your process, but I'm thinking more in terms of like, how do you come up with your stories? Is it like you may have already answered this when I was out for a few minutes, but like, do you take something from your life and try to integrate that or from your experience, or is it something more of like you just try to come up with something or out of the blue, or is it an influence from something you've read before? Like how do you approach a new story?
That's a funny and weird question, right? Because I have an answer that I can't give. Because
okay. All right, moving on. So
the reason is that like, okay, this new story that I just came up, like Oswald, I constructed it as I went along, but I knew where it was once. All right, here's the thing. Here's the important thing for me. I had to have an ending. Okay. So from the beginning to the, I'm usually pretty good with beginnings, but endings are very important to me. Because if you don't have somewhere, if you don't have a destination, there's no reason to travel, right? For me, right? There's some people, it's all about the travel and not the destination. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but you know, everything could be fun. You just got to figure it out, right? But yeah, I try to figure out the ending first. Once I have that, then I can construct the rest of the story. And the ending can be malleable. You can change the ending as you know the center works its way out. Yeah. So you can fix that. But as far as process, like as far as like figuring out a story, like the current thing that I'm working on now, right? I was like, what am I gonna do, right? Like, how am I gonna set this and how am I gonna make this? I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I have a guy figure, I have a lady figure, right? They're the protagonists. They're friends, right? They're both married to other people, right? Her husband though is his college best friend from college, right? And the two of them are in a relationship, but their relationship is like, you know, this is your job wife or your job husband. Okay. So they work with one another. They have an intimate relationship. They understand each other very well, but there's nothing physically involved with them. But they love each other intimately. You understand? They would die and kill for one another. Okay. But you know, but they have these other people in their lives that you know, this is his wife and she has a husband and they all have children, right? And then I say, okay, so I have that system set up already. So I understand what's going on between these characters, right? And that's the basic thing of that. Then it's okay, now what do they do? Okay, they're monster hunters. Okay, what are we gonna do with the monsters? So I was like, my first thing was like, I was gonna do something with just Innsmouth, right? So we know Innsmouth from H.P. Lovecraft, the fish people, Dagon, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, let's do something with that. And then I started working on it. It's too boring. It's not enough, right? Fish people, you know, okay, that's been done. What am I going to add to that? So I added something to that, okay, which I'm not going to talk about. That's the, you know, that's part of it. So I added something to that, right? So now I'm like, okay, what am I going to do in the future, right? And I'm like, you know, I was thinking of another story and I'm like, okay, so basically this series is going to be a series of like monsters and cryptids clashing and how it affects those two, like either entities or beings or races and how it affects the two races when they come together. And these two characters end up having to come in to try to fix those relationships or clean up the messes. And
nice,
you know, so that's the process. It's just sitting down, literally figuring it out. You know, it's always just for me. Any story is a puzzle, right? So you got to sit there and just really work it out. So
yeah. All right. Final question of my interrogation of JD Calderon is: what do you find the most difficult to write? Would you say it would be dialogue, or would you say it would be more narrative?
Depends on the character. All right, because here's the thing, right? If you know, everybody says, you know, you gotta have a unique voice for each character. You know, you watch a movie, everybody has their own voices or whatever. Believe it or not, that's the actors. It is because you can write a character a certain way, and then actors will sit down and figure it out for themselves. I went to film school and I shot a couple of very short, very crazy films, and you'll see what an actor can bring to anything, right? And you can give the same character to 3 different actors, and it'll be completely different each time.
Yeah.
You know, unless you have a very specific vision, and you're working with a real professional, you're not gonna, I was working with my friends, so I got them to act in the movie, and it was just like every single, like nothing was the way I wanted it, but everything was spectacular because it was just different.
Yeah.
And you just had to play strings.
It sounds a lot like if you give the same character to 3 different artists and ask them to draw it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll get 3 different versions of the character that you have in your head too.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, damn, which one's harder? I would say dialogue. If I had to choose one, if I had to definitively choose one, I said dialogue might be the more difficult of the two. Only when you're trying to, and the difficult part is when I work with a lot of ensemble casts, right? Like I have a lot of characters, right? And you're trying to give this person a tick, that person a tick, that person, these people, like they'll only use certain words, right? Like Oswald, he would never, he never use a conjunction. He would never say I'm or don't. He would say do not. So everybody, like, their characters in the story who tell him you speak very oddly. They're like, why do you talk like this? It's because he learned how to speak from movies from the 1950s. And he just heard some actor. This is just the way they spoke in this affected way, and he was just like, "Oh, okay, I guess that's the way I did." And it's stuck in his head, and that's just the way he continued to talk. So he's like, "I do not go to the bank," or whatever. So
nice. All right. Well, Damien.
Yeah,
I'm labeled to do this, but I don't want to steal your thunder for the end of the show here. But
yeah, it's about that time. I want to say hello to one person real quick who just popped in.
Okay.
Sarah, hello.
Yeah.
It's, without Brian here, we must say hello to Sarah in his stead.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna do this real quick. One last look, everybody. How many hours we got left? 15 hours to go.
15 hours.
Let me get back up on that mic. That helps a little bit better.
There it is. Yes.
Okay, we can break 4,500 people if we all get together. Share this to as much as you possibly can right now. Everyone within the sound of my voice, share this. If you haven't contributed, throw in on the PDFs, throw in on the physical books. Believe me, if you are not reading this, you are sleeping on this. You must pick this up. This isn't just kissing butt here. It's genuinely. I knew JD as a person, and then became a fan. So kind of back in because I supported your books, and I wanted to support you, and you're doing good stuff, and I want to support it. And then I stopped and I read the book because, like a lot of us, we get a lot of stuff we can't necessarily read everything all at once. And I was hooked, and I realized I'd read half the first graphic novel like that you just put out in like 2 hours. I was just like voraciously reading through this, like just eating it up.
Nice.
So it's coming from a place of genuine fan appreciation that everyone needs to get this. Anything else you want to tell the people, JD, about the campaign or?
No, just a few more hours. Like I said, I mean, whatever money's come in, it's gonna go feed a hungry artist somewhere in the world. So please, hungry artists in the world, especially mine, through me.
All right. Well, if no one else is wanting to do anything, give me 1 second because I gotta text somebody, let them know we're about to.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Brian is somewhere, but like you should have asked him this question.
Of course, it won't matter. It won't matter. Even if we answered all the right or asked all the right questions, we'd always have one that we didn't get to. JD, I did want to say thank you so much for joining us for this interview and sharing your work. And man, it's amazing. Lauren, thank you for sitting in for Jeremy and Brian and helping us out. Really, really, really appreciate that as well. And as we're waiting for Brian to close down our show for us since we don't have a link to do that. We do want to say go to JD Calderon. Do you have a website and place where people can go follow your stuff? Oh, he's frozen. Oh, there he is. Did you hear me? Do you have a website and Facebook you want to tell everyone about to go check you out?
Yes. So you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, DeviantArt, all under JD Calderon. You can find me on the OswaldChronicles.com. You can find me also on TallTalesOnline.com. And look at this guy. It's the producer. I like him. I like it.
There he is.
I didn't mean to do that.
He makes
What's
his
happening? Where am I?
appearance.
I was drawing and now I'm here. What's going on?
That's right. Just
Hi, JD. How you doing?
What's up, Brian? How you been? Look at that beautiful beast.
Hi, Luna.
No, I thought you knew my beard.
I was
Look
talking
at
to
that,
the cat. I
yeah.
was talking about the cat.
Yeah, baby. Look, JD likes you. She does not give a crap about you.
It's okay.
Yeah, she does not care.
She's a cat. I wouldn't expect anything more.
Oh man. Well, I'm here to escort you out, JD. I will hold my arm out, and we will exit the arena.
I appreciate
So
it.
yeah, guys, thank you all for doing this.
We already
It's
said
freed me
it.
up.
We
All
already
right,
said
well,
thank
I
you.
love you all, and have a great night.
What a cluster jam.
Yeah.